just thought they didn't give many interesting things to do. But again, it's fun to see Penguin play everyone against each other and continue these silver tongue skills that we saw in episode 1, how this guy can just get himself out of any jam by talking. And it's a great skill, once again, to set up for a Batman villain as well. Episode 2 does a good job building the parallels between Penguin and Sophia's goals. So once again, I'm not hating on the episode, but because it does a good job with that, I really thought. Building these parallels, both characters are still under the thumb of the Falcone family, and both are metamorphosing into complete monsters. It's, she just got out of Arkham. He is literally the Penguin. So it is a lot of fun to see, again, using the mob as their playground. You give us what did I put in my notes here? A few psychopath power-hungry monsters and arena to play with. What better arena than the mob? I think a few more direction takes, this episode could have been a lot smoother. But, like we have that scene with him and his mom's house, Oz at his mother's house. She had another episode of dementia. Oz was there with Victor to help her. It's not a terrible scene, but number one, it's drawn out. We did not need it to be that long. Like, I know the importance of these scenes are for making Oz more likable, more human, being a good son to his sick mother, but it's just too much after a while. And Deirdre O'Connor, I think, needed some more takes to make that more believable. Like, dementia can't be an easy thing to play. Maybe the kind of awkwardness is part of it, but it just didn't tonally. This whole episode had tonal issues, I thought. This was also too close to the Sopranos scene with the CDs of the old songs that Tony brings, I think in the pilot episode, and he's dancing around with her. He tries to get Livia to dance. Interestingly, in the first episode, a lot of people were like, oh, that's so much like Tony and his mom. I'm like, this guy loves his mom. That is far from the relationship. Like, honestly, point is, I didn't even see that parallel the first time I watched it at first. Well, I felt kind of dumb, but then I was also like, no, their relationship is vastly polar opposite. They love each other. The Sopranos, they did not. This, though, was too on the nose. It's like, hey, Ma, I'm going to come and play music for you, and we're going to dance around. I don't know. Anyway. I did love the therapy dream sequence in the beginning. That's how we open the episode with Sophia at Arkham. Oof, that was a lot of fun. More of that. She is just so damn unhinged and believably unhinged. Like, that's another thing. Not easy to play. Hinge and believably so. Or unhinged and believably so. We got Theo Rossi from Sons of Anarchy as the therapist. So Alberto visits Sophia in Arkham in this dream sequence that turns out to be, again, her in therapy with Theo Rossi. But, so he visits her in Arkham. She watches him get shot in the head, and he's got the severed pinky from the ring that Oz really took off, but that she thinks Maroni did. Really cool stuff. But yeah, man, after that, when she breaks out of this hypnosis thing he had her in, we get a clearer taste of how off the rails she is in this scene. So that was good. I am not loving the Victor character. I'm not going sequence by sequence. These are just notes that I have. I am not loving the Victor character. I don't really buy him. I kind of liked the Jason Todd-ish nod to. So Jason Todd in the comics, if you're not familiar, very briefly, was one of the Robins who, when Batman meets him, he discovers him. He's a kid on the street who's taking the wheels off of the Batmobile. So a lot of people, Bat fans, were like, oh, cool. Victor's taking the wheels off of, the rims off of a Penguin's car, and then he catches them, and that's how they meet. I don't know. I predicted that, first of all, it was tropey to begin with. It's like he's going to take this kid under his wing. We've seen this a million times where, a person on the rise takes on a new protege, but the protege is, super young. It's just so overdone, I think, and a little underdeveloped. It's not something I really touched on in my spoiler-free review last episode, but I didn't love that character in the first episode, and now I think he's really more being put to the test, and it's also not working. Again, tonal problems. He's kind of awkward because he has the stutter and can't answer right away, and I think they think it works a lot better, like the directors and stuff, and it doesn't work great. seeing this kid, it's just kind of painful to watch him. So I don't really, I hope they do more with that character. Yeah, I don't love, oh, sorry, I lost my spot here. Penguin, so the scene when Penguin kills Irvad, this is again like that Arab crime family working with the Maronis. I don't love this detective character that Sophia gets. I actually liked how she acquired him almost, like she finds him at the bar and bribes him and all that stuff. But, you know, it's, I just don't love the character. When he drops off Irvad at the Falcone mansion, it felt a bit Gotham-y. Like even the music didn't feel right, going back to the tonal problems that I have here. The whole episode needed better, again, tone management and the humor department especially compared to episode 1. You know, I heard Colin Farrell in that official HBO podcast talking about how he's like, we were very careful not to make it too funny. We didn't want to make it too funny, blah, blah, blah. Like, this isn't the kind of show we're doing. Don't make a joke out of it. Like, he was very defensive to this one guy apparently on set. I think he should have snapped at whoever did this scene too, because it didn't work for me at all. Again, Penguin playing the Maronis versus the Falcones, kills this Irvad guy who proves he's no longer useful. Again, Irvad was working with the Maronis. At one point, he proves he's not useful when he's questioning him. He's locked up in the Falcone's basement after the awkward scene of being dropped off. I don't know, man. It's like looking back. So, point is, Oswald stabs him to death. But looking back, this scene makes me crave more action in this episode. Like, the lack of action probably made this episode drag a bit for me. There was something later on with that, like, whodunit thing. Whodunit killed Irvad in the basement later on with the mob guys, but whatever. It just, I think though in the end, like, the point of this episode, it seems like the point was to set this ticking time bomb of Sophia, and then future episodes will be more explosive, if for lack of a better term. Didn't love Sophia's veiled threat against a child for no apparent reason. Like, what the hell was that? And then the actress was the girl who played Jimmy's wife in Boardwalk Empire, and she also had a couple very small parts in The Sopranos. She was one of Meadows' friends, at that awkward dinner scene when Carmela had just found out that Furio left, and then she's being homophobic and weird, and this girl was like one of the, she was an Infanta de Gracia, however you say that. She was like a royal member of the Spanish royal family, and she was going to Colombia with Meadow. Anyway, another Sopranos pull is the point. And /HBO with Boardwalk Empire. Still, that scene, I don't understand. And it's just like a part of the tonal problem going to script in this case is, in this particular scene, is like, it didn't need to go the extra line. Like, Sophia gives like this veiled threat, but then goes the extra line of saying, you know, make sure you protect her. She can never be too safe in this family as a woman or whatever. It's just like, you could have left it at protect. You didn't even need to say protect. Like, there's ways of threatening people without saying words, especially if you're threatening a child. That's when you want to be extra subtle, I would say. But whatever. That scene didn't really work for me. Though I did love her taking fistfuls of pasta right off the buffet table. Like, Sophia Falcone reaching in with a handful of pasta right off the buffet table. That just seemed like such an Italian unhinged thing at a party to do. That worked incredibly well for me. So that's something with the tone that did work humor-wise. And episode 1, a lot of the humor worked. I should have given it credit earlier on here, but it also, that scene reminded me of that other bizarre dark comedy. I don't have it in front of me, but that Max series that Melody was on. Ray Romano was her father. It was this weird sci-fi show. And yeah, so check that out, because there was a scene where she's literally, she hadn't eaten in days or whatever it was, and she's just stuffing her face full of pasta in that show. Anyway. So once again, there's this whodunit. As you can tell, this whole episode, I know I sound like I'm going through the motions. I should probably put more passion into it, but it was fine. That's just kind of, if you want my broad strokes, it was fine. And that's probably why it seems a little procedural here. in my review. But yeah, there's this whodunit at the end in the Falcone mansion that doesn't have the most satisfying conclusion, but it was fine, I guess. That's where they figure out, or they think they figure out, and Oz, of course, is manipulating everything that we're watching, but he sets up one of the bodyguards of the Falcone family to make it look like he killed Ervod, even though, once again, Oz did in the basement. So that was kind of cool. He plants a knife on him, and I did think it was interesting, though, to like, where's the guy with the knife? Whoever has the knife. I'm like, I think a lot of these guys would have knives. I mean, they all have guns, but it's like the one guy with the knife. I'm not sure a knife is enough. Also, there's no cameras in the Falcone crime mansion. Okay. I guess we're going to like 90s rules of tech, which I prefer. That's why I always say like I would prefer probably making a mob show or something in the 90s or 2000s at the latest, because at least everything is cameras and mics everywhere, but you're showing us cell phones and smartphones. There's no cameras in the Falcone crime mansion. Got it. Because that would have completely blown this entire episode. That felt like an episode of Columbo when it's like, we got to get to a payphone in order to solve this problem. Like, Oz would have been completely caught by a camera. 100%. We get Uncle Luca in this episode. That's worth going over here, who's another kind of meh character that steps in, with the absence of not just Carmine, but now Alberto. You need like a new patriarch of the family to serve as. What we really get to, the whole point of this is we conclude at the Falcone Family Museum that Sophia, it's another person for Sophia to be kind of, again, she's got her vendetta to take over the family. And this woman really has it out. It's very Sicilian. It's very Italian. It's very badass. Mafia, the way that she is going after it. And there, I guess could seem woke on its face of like, oh, going after the patriarchy, whatever. It's not. It really doesn't feel that way, and I'm glad they're not doing that, because that's obviously always a temptation for these people, is to do that. So overall, once again, I think tonally it wasn't on point. I wish they would lock some of that down for future episodes, maybe clean up how they're presenting the humor in particular. I didn't love the stuff with his mom, like I mentioned before, but other than that, it was still pretty good. I want some more action. I still have the beef as a Bat fan. It's like we heard the word penguin once in this episode. Once. I'm not going to go on a rant about that. If you want to hear my rant, my Pennyworth problem with it, as I call it, or whatever you want to call, not having enough Batman in a show with a penguin as your main character. All that is on my review of episode 1. So finally, our Megalopolis review. I saw it last night. If you can call it a review, I walked out before it ended, which is insane because that movie, as I said in the review, built this channel. I'm not saying I'll never go see it, but holy crap. I just couldn't. I sat there for an hour and a half, and that was enough for me. So if you want to hear me rant about that last night, check that out. And yeah, check out once again future episodes of our Penguin live streams.